welcome everyone. Again, one more time, my name is Eleni Sommerschield, and I am here with my friend Marki Lemons-Ryhal. We're going to be talking about pivoting your real estate business with foreclosures and short sales. That's a mouthful. I've only had 4 cups of coffee today. I'm a little on the jittery side. I was so nervous. It's Monday morning, the day after daylight savings. And what happens is the whole entire country changes times except for Arizona. And this day, it makes me so nervous because I'm like, my calendar is going to be off. I can feel it. And I was nervous about getting the time wrong for today's webinar, but we're all good. So thank you, Marki, for joining today. I'm excited to talk about this because you are known as the queen of short sales and foreclosures. So you've got a lot of information to give everyone. You know, even I'm seeing here, Candace from Oregon has been in the business for 7 months. So I'm sure we've got some newbies. I've seen people, 17 years. I've seen all, 2.5 years, 6.5 years, 13 years, kind of everyone, along the gamut. So there's a lot of information that I know you can impart to us all. So I'm going to let you kick it off and talk to us a little bit about why you're the short sale queen and what people can be doing in, these next few months that things are going to be changing.
So what's going on, everyone? I'm your girl, Marki Lemons-Ryhal, real estate keynote speaker, 6-time international best-selling author, here from the south side of the city of Chicago, where in the state of Illinois, we are known for having one of the longest foreclosure processes of any state in the United States. I've been in real estate now. This is my 23rd year. I celebrated that July the 31st. However, back in 2007, I became the queen of foreclosures. For years, all I taught was foreclosures and short sales, and it was because I was looking at the trends and the stats. My husband drove me up to Appleton, Wisconsin in February of 2007 so that I could get certified to then teach the SFR course, which is the short sale foreclosure resource of the National Association of Realtors. I quickly realized that realtors needed additional education. So I developed the ADPR, which is the Accredited Distressed Property Representative designation. Back in 2007, we sent roughly 5,000 people through that program. Well, I realized that the likelihood of everything that's occurred over the last couple of years, that we would start to see new notice of defaults being filed, or you might hear the term NODs. So back this summer, through my private membership group, 6 Figures in 12 Months, we had 4 weeks of nothing but foreclosure and short sale education. So I reached out to you guys over at Wise Agent because it is our preferred customer relationship management system for our we have over 300 agents between our 4 offices here in the Chicago area. And I said, I believe it's now time for us to start to educate realtors on foreclosures and short sales, especially if they want to develop a niche, or some of you might say niche.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, because it's something that, with the recession, with the state of the economy, it's just something inevitable that there's always going to be some foreclosures and some short sales happening, no matter what's happening in the economy. Right.
Yes.
But as the economy is kind of taking the turn that it's taking right now, it is something that, will most likely also happen and just in light of what happened, 6 months to a year and a half, 2 years ago, when things were, you couldn't, keep a listing for more than 48 hours, right? It was just off the market as soon as you listed it. And so now there's going to be this trend of maybe some people might be upside down because of some of that.
So let me say this. When we look at what's going on today in our economy, every realtor can learn something new. So even if you're a seasoned professional, we have people who said 7 months, we have people who had 7 years, we had people who had 13 years. even someone who has been in the real estate business for 10 years doesn't mean that they're prepared for today. Because at that point, when they came into the industry, foreclosures and short sales were on a decline. So they might not have heard of this. Also, when we were in this market, right, roughly 14 years ago, interest rates were still at an all-time low. Today, the interest rates are higher, which means that affordability has gone down. And a person 12 years ago could have done a forbearance, or well, they can still do a forbearance, but they would have potentially wanted to modify their loan. Who wants to modify today's interest rates? Right. Well, first of all, most of us can't afford to modify at today's interest rates, which then takes a modification off of the table. So this is a unique market right now. And as real estate professionals, it's time for us to either one, acquire a new skill set, or two, go and dust off all of the tools that we had prior to 2012.
Yeah.
So either we dusting or we developing, but you got to do one or the other today.
Yeah. And and that kind of goes with what you say about other things in, and other topics, even Marki, is like dusting off some of the things that you've learned in the past, just reusing some of the stuff that you've learned, reusing some of your content, and always having something, because think life in general is cyclical, right? Like some of this, even if you look at fashion or anything, right? Fashion comes back every 20 years, bell bottoms are in and then they're out and then they're back in again, right? That's just how life works. Even in the real estate market, is some of the things that are happening, what happened years ago is now coming back as it might not, hopefully not be as big of a thing that happened as bad as it did back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, but hopefully in any way it is here, and people need to know how to handle it and how to deal with it. And before we even got on this webinar, as people were registering it, we asked the question, like, what is it that you're here to learn? And really, there was a lot of questions that were submitted, and there was 3 that really just jumped out to me. It was, okay, so what do I need to know to market to individuals that need assistance? And then how do I find those people? Right.
Okay.
So those were the 2 big things. And then is there certifications? You kind of touched on the certification part of it. But so how do you generate those leads for short sales and foreclosures?
So before we do that, I want to just kind of go over some numbers. I'm here in the city of Chicago, located in Cook County, located in the state of Illinois. When I take a look at the county in which I live in, because that's where you will find your NODs or your notice of default being filed. I had breakfast a couple of weeks ago with the absolute queen of foreclosures, not short sales, but foreclosures. Her name is Mary Richardson. She's been in the foreclosure market now 40 years. And she was breaking down some numbers. Last year in my county, we had 7,000 notice of defaults filed. This year, we should be at 11,000. That means definitely a increase. So if you are, there's a term that's used that's not quite accurate, right? And that is the term pre-foreclosure. There's really no pre, okay? Either you're in foreclosure or you're not, okay? So what is a foreclosure? I'm going to use 2 different terms here. It means that a notice of default has been filed, and contingent upon the state in which you live in, it will dictate if that is public information. So a notice of default has been filed. A notice of default is generally going to be filed when the homeowner has missed a minimum, it could be more, but a minimum of 3 consecutive mortgage payments. That now means that the bank has the right to file a notice of default. A notice of default is also pending litigation, which what we would see is a lis pendens. So a lis pendens is pending litigation because a notice of default has been filed because the homeowner has missed at least, it could be more, at least 3 mortgage payments. So in most states, it's now public information that this person is in for the foreclosure proceedings have started. So this whole pre-foreclosure, when you're in pre-foreclosure, it's just between you and the bank. But once that notice is filed, your butt got pending litigation. You are in the foreclosure process. The clock has started.
Right.
The clock. I'm
sorry. So I'm sorry. Can I stop you right there for a second? Because so then the pre-foreclosure part of it would be, would that be something that people are getting data on, like they've missed maybe 2 payments, or is there no data available?
It's no note. Let me tell you what data is available. When you hear banks talk about defaults and missed payments, they're going to give you a big, broad number. Okay. We have 10% of our loans are in default. That's pre-foreclosure data, but they're not telling you, hey, it's 123 Main Street. Marki Lemons-Ryhal is the owner. This was the mortgage amount. That data hasn't been revealed as of yet, because what they're doing is looking at, think of confidentiality. They're looking at the confidential information of the people who borrowed money. They will put that number in an overall report, but they won't pinpoint the people who the data belongs to.
Okay. All right.
That was a good question.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to get that out there because I mean, there's so much in this and we've got, you know, limited time here to discuss it, but I think it's really important for people to understand what data is available, because that's going to dictate a lot on some of these questions, like how do I generate those leads, right? So you want to make sure that you're getting the right information from people. Okay, I'll let you carry on because I know there's a lot.
Yeah, so you and I had a discussion earlier because of a pre-foreclosure list. Just note to self, that's a foreclosure list because a notice of default has been filed. We understand that this homeowner is in default, okay? What I want everyone here to do, because I don't know this information specific for your state, you want to identify what by statute is the minimum foreclosure processing time in your state, okay? In my state, by statute, it's a minimum of 7 months. Okay, so once that notice of default is filed and it becomes public information, I want to subscribe to foreclosure list or foreclosure data that I can get into a CSV or Excel format, because I intentionally want to reach out to homeowners where a notice of default has been filed. What a lot of consumers will do, which is totally incorrect, is they think that they can walk around a homeowner. You can't walk around a homeowner ever. You need them to work with you. So I couldn't walk around the homeowner and go to the bank. Not in my state, because I live in a state that has a judicial foreclosure process and the deed is still in the homeowner's name. So I need there to be full collaboration with the homeowner to sell their house. What's going to be a little different in this foreclosure market versus the one that we had 14 years ago, there are people with equity today. So when we think about working foreclosures and short sales, it's not just going to be a short sale market. We're going to have homeowners. It's going to be a notice of default market. The question is, do they need a short sale to be able to sell? What's going to dictate that? You want to look at every property as is sale. That means the seller will, and I want to clarify this too. That means the seller's not going to make any modifications or repairs to the property. Okay.
Right.
And as is sale does not mean that you are not to provide a real property disclosure report. In my state, a real property disclosure report is mandated on everything with the exception of new construction never occupied and an estate sale. But if you look at the real property disclosure report, a short sale does not constitute that, but an REO does. So that means a judicial sales process has occurred. We're not there yet, okay? So you want to sell it in as-is condition, but you still must provide a real property disclosure report on this property, right?
Right.
So now I want this list of homeowners, and I know that my foreclosure process is 7 months. I can tell you what I did wrong versus what I think is the right way to do. So when I was in the foreclosure soliciting homes, I was mailing to a new group of people every single month. That then meant that no one was seeing my direct mail piece more than one time. Okay. You want to know what that statute is in your state, because now when I go and pull this CSV file that I'm going to do a direct mail piece, I want to mail to that same group of people consecutively once per month inside of what the statute period is. Some places it could be 3 months, some places it could be 6 months, because the more they see me and my marketing piece, the more brand awareness that I am going to build to me. So the best way to work in conjunction with the homeowner who still has the right to sell the property is going to be through direct mail. You have to connect with those sellers in order to sell that property. But now it just hit me. There's another way. And this is a totally different subject, so I'm going to keep it quick. Based on some changes we're likely going to see in the market, I believe that every real estate agent needs to start implementing an exclusive buyer representation agreement with an offer of compensation. That also means then I can solicit notice of defaults for my buyer clients that I have under an exclusive right to sell agreement with an offer of compensation. So just you can go after it from 2 ways: working on behalf of your buyer client or working on behalf of the person where the notice of default has been filed, but I'm still pulling that same information. A notice of default has been filed, and I know therefore you've missed a minimum of 3 mortgage payments.
Right. And the reason why you're marketing to them is, well, if they've missed 3 mortgage payments, they're, unable to pay their mortgage. They need to offload this property to kind of try and help salvage, if any equity is there, or, whatever it is, and hopefully avoiding the whole foreclosure proceedings, right? Of it. You want to be the one helping come up with the solution. Sometimes when you're in over your head with things, you're looking for someone to send you some kind of a signal, like I'll help you, and some kind of something. And this marketing, the direct mailers, some of those information that, where you're representing, that you could represent them as the seller's agent to help them offload that property so they don't go into any further proceedings, correct?
Well, okay. And let me say this: the next proceedings after the notice of default has been filed, the homeowner should receive a notice of sale, okay? Because the property still needs to finalize the sales process to essentially get the deed out of the homeowner's name back into the bank's name, so that the bank can be eligible, or whoever the lending institution is can be eligible to sell that property. So, but what we're thinking of as a realtor, where are the true opportunities? It is once that notice of default has been filed. That's what we're looking for. And let me say this. So I was an investor. So I was actually working with foreclosed properties before I was soliciting them to be the listing agent of their short sale. So this is what I want you to envision. There wasn't any inventory. Every time a new property would come to the market, we're in a multiple bid situation. I started to mail to homeowners where a notice of default had been filed because I was a cash buyer. I bought, rehabbed, and sold 7 houses in the same manner as I was as a short sale listing agent. Here's the difference. When I would mail that direct mail piece, at the moment we would schedule an appointment, I would let them know that I'm an agent, but I am not their agent. When I showed up at their house, I had them to sign a notice of no agency because it is illegal and unethical to act as an agent on a property representing anyone in which you have an interest. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
So before this became the short sale market, I was going after notice of defaults just to have inventory to rehab. But I could never allow that person to believe that I was their agent. And in my state, I had to get written notice that I was not their agent. So if you see these great deals and you're an agent and you want to do this on your own behalf, you must give them a written notice of no agency that you want them to sign. So no one can ever file a complaint that you acted as an undisclosed dual agent in which you have an interest in. Because let me promise you something, it is illegal in every state.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I love that you're warning everyone to keep everything on the up and up and don't get yourself in any hot water here. That is, we are providing education for you to increase your business in either way. If you're looking to be that investor that, can get a good opportunity, or as the realtor that helps someone get out of, being underwater on a property. Yeah.
You know what happened? Because somebody will see, Marki said, I got the video clip. Roll the tape.
Yeah.
Roll the tape.
Exactly. So a couple of questions here. So could you explain can you define the short sale for our audience? Because that's been a question I've seen here a couple of times.
I want to come back because somebody said, what is illegal in every state?
Oh, yeah.
It is illegal in any state in the good United States of America to act as a dual agent. Let me clarify my terminology. As a dual agent, whether disclosed or undisclosed, on any property that you have an interest in. So in Illinois, we can act as a dual agent. We cannot act as a dual agent on any property that we have an interest in. Every state does not allow, wait, I want to clarify. In my state, how do I sell a property that I own? To a buyer, I must get a signed notice of no agency. Okay. So it's not saying that I cannot sell my own property. I don't have to use an agent, but I need to have a signed notice of no agency because in my state, agency creation can be implied. Okay. It could be oral, it could be written, it could be expressed or implied. So what you don't ever want to do is to act as a dual agent on any property in which you have an interest in. So come back. What is a short sale?
Yeah.
A short sale occurs anytime that a lender is willing to take less than what is owed. So here would be an example. We initially talked about a property in as-is condition, okay? And I'm writing this down because I want to make sure I keep myself on track. The reason I'm writing down as is, there are a couple of private Facebook groups, and what I'm hearing in these private Facebook groups for contractors, a lot of properties today have repairs that are needed. And there's been a lot of shoddy work performed over the last couple of years. So because the homeowner's not paying the mortgage, they don't have the financial means in which to make repairs. Okay, so we want to make sure we are selling these properties as is condition and completing the real property disclosure report. So let's say that I owe $400,000 on a property. And based on the shift and change in the market, we've seen a 10% reduction in the average sales price. So the last three comps aren't coming in at 400,000. They're coming in at $360,000, but I owe $400,000. Not only do I owe $400,000, I got to give a tax proration, and I need to pay my listing agent, and I need to provide you a survey. For the sake of examples only, because we will not be violating antitrust, let's say that my cost to sell my house is $30,000. That means that not only do I have my $400,000 principal balance, I need to add an additional $30,000. So technically, I need $430,000. But the last three comps say, hey, Marki, your house is not worth $430,000 plus the cost to sell. It is worth $360,000. So now I'm asking the bank, hey, dear bank, can you take $70,000? Because I need you, dear bank, to pay the cost for me to sell my property, less than what is owed. And that is what a short sale is. So a short sale means that, yes, you need the collaboration of the homeowner, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But you cannot sell without the written permission of the bank, because they have to be willing to take less than what is owed to them.
Right. So the bank needs to take the loss, which really is because there is no equity in that property. So you have this 400, you have a mortgage for $400,000. Your note is 400 plus your closing costs and everything else. And then you're on the hook for that 400K, but you could only get rid of it for 360. So where's that difference going to come up? You got to basically get permission from the bank saying, hey, will you take that loss on my behalf? You still get, your credit report, your credit will get dinged for that, right?
Oh,
for
yes.
Yeah.
A short sale, your credit is going to be dinged, but likelihood is it won't be dinged as bad if you were to allow it to become a foreclosure. You would sustain substantial ding. So let me, I saw a question, so I want to explain it. So somebody said, well, what happens to the difference? So here's what's going to happen. The bank is going to give you a release for the $360,000. Actually, the 360 is worth 360, but they're going to net less money. They're going to give you a payoff letter to allow you to financially do the deal. So let's talk about the $70,000 difference. What has happened in the past initially, okay? Because rules had changed when we went through that last foreclosure process. Is they're going to 1099 that homeowner for the $70,000 difference, which then meant that that homeowner was going to be responsible for paying taxes on that unearned income. Because what the bank is going to do, they need to write the $70,000 difference off of their books, right? Yeah. So that's a loss. So to assign the loss, they have to send the homeowner a 1099. The homeowner then becomes responsible for taxes on that unearned income, the unearned income of the $70,000 in whatever their tax bracket is. But when we went through the last foreclosure crisis, the federal government was waiving the tax liability on the unearned income. There's no promise that's going to happen
for this time.
Yeah.
Because that then you're on the hook for that unearned income on your taxes.
On your taxes. And so you got to pay the taxes on it because it's unearned income, because that's the only way that the bank can write off the debt.
Yeah. And Darnisha here is saying not only is there no equity on this property that you're short selling, you're actually upside down is what you're just upside down.
And let me go back because it's in its as is condition. So I didn't think we were going to be having this conversation we're having now, because I 100% did not believe that we were going to see short sales. The reason I believe we're going to see short sales is because we went from an Uber seller's market to a buyer's market in the blink of an eye. Yeah. We're seeing values go down right now. Okay. Not only are the values going down right now for all those people who were offering more, right, than even the appraised value, even though they had to pay the cash difference on that, right, when they bought. What's the true condition of the house? Well, if the condition of the house is in ill repair and you telling me I don't have no equity, people don't really even want the house anymore. Like the appeal to the house no longer exists. There's people right now who love their house 5 months ago, hate it right now today. Well, what we have to start thinking about is people now are going to stop paying their mortgages. We're in a recession. Interest rates have went up. So people cannot refinance to lower their payments right now. Think about all those people. Yeah. Think about the people who were in a forbearance okay, who house is now in ill repair. Okay, so we got a lot of issues that are going to be combined together.
Yeah.
The number one is, what's the true condition of that property?
Well, and I was just at a conference last week in Newport Beach, and they were saying in Newport Beach was there was a realtor on stage, and she was talking about how she was going to her own listing. You know, she had someone hosting the open house, and she and her husband were going to her own listing and had to wait in line 30 minutes to get in to see the property because people were going in, and it was, the house couldn't hold that many people to go in. And people were just like, you know, just offering cash and over, right? Over asking without any contingencies. So no inspection. And a lot of those properties, I mean, that happened around here too in Arizona. I'm sure even in Chicago and anywhere else that you guys are at, there was a lot of no contingency. So, oh, we'll forget the inspection. We won't do that. And so what you're saying kind of makes sense, because now they're going to be upside down with not having the option of refinancing, right? Because back in 2012 and 14, you know, when there was those, I mean, it was when they were buying those, they were able, there was some wiggle room in the interest rates. Now, when they bought it at 3-4%, and now it's at 7%, they don't have that option. I want to clear that up for some of the people that were saying, well, how about these interest rates? They're not, you know, they're not that high. No, generally speaking, because in the 80s, when my parents bought a house, I think their interest rate was like 14%, right? And so generally speaking, historically, the interest rates aren't high if you go back 30-40 years, but in the last 2 years, yes, they are. But then having the short sales where now the value of the housing is coming down, plus they didn't have these, you know, the inspections done, and they didn't know the pool was, you know, had a serious crack in the foundation of the pool and it's leaking water and it's doing this, causing a landslide or whatever's happening, right? And so now it's like, and now I can't make that repair because I'm already underwater. I'm already struggling making my payments on this house. So they're going to be in a situation where it's going to be tight financially, and they're going to need to have some kind of relief. And this is where the education of short sales and foreclosures come into play, because when you know all these things, like Marki, you do, you're rattling things off like off the top of your head, knowing the laws, knowing everything. This is the value of the education, is that when you know all these things and you get somebody on the phone where you're like, I can help you, tell me your situation, and you can see what it is that they need. Like, okay, this for you, like you're in a short sale situation versus a foreclosure situation or whatnot.
So there are a couple of things. I don't think that interest rates now are that high, but I do believe that affordability has changed. So I'll give you my personal example. I purchased my first building at the age of 24 in 1994. It was through a bank called Beverly Bank. I got what's called an IDA program, right? It's through the state of Illinois. My interest rate was 8.375. You couldn't tell me nothing. I was 24 years old. I am a homeowner of a 3-flat building, but it was affordable because I bought the building for $45,000 and I had 3 tenants to help me. So let's deal with that part. So no, I don't think 8.375 is that high. And to be honest with you, I think it's now the time to look at people age 50 and older, because this interest rate is not a high interest rate to them. They've heard this interest rate before. The question is affordability. The next thing is, we did, to get a price reduction recently, our sellers called us and told us to do a $40,000 price reduction because we sent them one thing. I told my son, Skylar, I said, I want you to calculate what they're selling their property for at 3.5, which was the interest rate at the time in which we listed. I want you to do a side-by-side comparison of that same property at 7%. The payment difference between the 3.5 and the 7% at this price point was $957 per month. In a recession, when gas prices are high, when we have seen inflation, $957 is a lot of money, okay,
Yeah.
to
And people
any
are,
house.
and people are, there's layoffs. I mean,
They
right?
lay off.
There's layoffs.
So imagine this. You let's talk about this. You bought your house. You bought it before whatever month interest rates went up this year. Okay. Now let me go back. You bought your house in 2018. In 2020, you were sent home. You decided to do a forbearance. Your interest rate at that time was let's go with 3%. Your bank is like, now you have all this unpaid principal and interest, and you like, well, if we tack this on, how am I ever going to tackle that? Let me see if I can refinance because I heard that I should have some equity.
Mhm.
They tell you or quote you the new PITI at the 7% interest rate. And for this example, your house was $457. That means the payment is $957 more per month. You're not going to want to modify your loan today.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And that's the thing, is that you've got to know, I mean, I've talked about this and so many other aspects, is you got to know your numbers. So being able to help the homeowners see where they're at financially and help them see, like, this is where, these are your options, and kind of lay it out there for them. And then for you to be able to explain clearly, just like how we're talking here, how Marki's talking, and this is kind of like why we're doing this webinar is, I mean, I didn't know we were going to get so deep in the weeds here with all the, when neither one of us did. We just got here. We just got here.
You know what's kind of funny? When you sent me the list of questions over, right? And we got on the call today. I'm like, it's 50 freaking questions. Like, they got a lot of questions. And you were like, well, we could, we don't have to answer all the questions. I'm like, oh no, I know this stuff. Let's go through these questions right now. Mind you, I'm dusting off my arsenal. Okay. But when I tell you I got arsenals, right? I sent you 1 3-hour class over. You was like, girl, how much content you got? I'm like, 4 times more.
No, I was overwhelmed. I mean, I was definitely overwhelmed with all the content that you have, but, and here's the beauty of it, because we've got 20 minutes to wrap this up, and it seems like a long time, but it's not, with all of this information, because there's like, I mean, I don't even know how many hours and hours worth of classes. I just read through 1 4-hour class this weekend, and I was like, oof, I was tired. I was drained after that. But it's, what's the beauty of this is so Marki and us, we've partnered together to bring you the education piece here, right? But then also to take it a step further and help with the marketing, right? Of how are you going to get your knowledge that how to help people in this type of situation, right? Because that's what they're looking for. Like, a lot of times when you're in this underwater situation, you're looking for, right, some kind of life vest, to something to grab onto and say, like, someone help me. And so when you can convey all this information and articulate it in a way where the right people are seeing the right information, right, at the right time, that's always the key in all marketing aspects, right, is then that's when you become successful in your business. And then you're also doing a good deed and helping somebody that's, in a distressed property, right, in some kind of situation.
Yes.
And so what we've done is Marki has given us her education content, and that there's going to be some checklists, there's going to be some letters in there, some educational pieces for you in there. But then in addition to that, there's going to be exclusive content that Marki will provide for you to share your knowledge, your insight, to help you capture these people that are in the short sale foreclosure situations, to talk to you as a realtor so you can gain their business. Because even if you are underwater, and I mean, the seller agent still gets paid, there's still a commission paid to that agent. So it's not like the bank is saying, and the seller is even saying, well, now you're going to work for free because we're underwater here. There's still, the bank still gives that funding out.
Yeah, so that's a part of the cost, right? When we ask for the short sale, we're including our fees because we still want to be compensated for the work in which we have performed. But now that you said that, I'm thinking, oh, how great this is, right, for Wise Agent, because now we get to put them into customer relationship management systems are more readily available and used today versus, right, that
Yeah.
10 plus years ago. So what I'm loving today, and this is what I want people to think about from marketing, besides the direct mail piece, right,
Mhm.
which you get to tag inside of your customer relationship management
Right.
system. I want them to think about the landing page. So let me give you what I was doing back in the day and how Wise Agent is going to be more efficient today for you from the online standpoint. So I've been using social media and technology consistently since 2006. So actually, my love of social media came because I was leveraging Facebook to promote my foreclosure short sale classes. With that being said, landing pages, right? So inside of the customer relationship management system, we have landing pages. Let me tell you what I used to do. Back in the day, I was going over to Craigslist. Craigslist is still a viable resource. I was doing a Craigslist ad and I was leading people back to a standalone page on my website to provide them with a list of foreclosures or notice of defaults in a particular area. So let's say I live in 60653 zip code. Let's say that I want to provide you with a list of single family detached homes. Notice of default has been filed, right? I can now come over, here's the joy, come over to Wise Agent, set up a landing page. So when I'm sending that direct mail piece out, I'm putting a QR code on it and a link for them to scan that lets people, two resources, one for sellers, one for buyers, right? To whatever page that is, so they can then give me their information in exchange, and then I can cross-reference it, right?
Right.
So we have online marketing tools now in conjunction more readily available than we did then. But on that direct mail piece, if we're mailing them out to a homeowner where a notice of default has been filed, it might be 10 steps to qualifying for a short sale,
Right.
right? They get that whole checklist because they gave me their information.
Right.
Now I know who's more serious and they're going to be in a certain geographic area. That's how I would bring it in today to to actually enhance and accelerate my marketing efforts.
Yeah. And when you get that CSV file of all of the properties that have the notice of default sent to them, all of those people, then that's where you import it into Wise Agent. You do it yourself. You call us, we do it for you. And then you can build out your whole entire direct mailing campaign through Wise Agent, right? To send out a postcard. And this is, and I wanted to show the QR code. So this is a postcard for a different reason. But instead of saying you want to learn more about Wise Agent, we would say you want to learn more about, you know, how you can sell your property. And then you have a little QR code here. And that goes out, and this, I don't know what size this is, but you send out a mailer with this QR goes to your landing page for them to get more information on how they could stay afloat or do what they need to do. And then, and that's where you get that, you know, that whole entire thing. And I think, you know, while I'm doing this kind of on the fly, because I sometimes do that, we're gonna work together with Marki to see how we can get a template for, because this is literally, we discussed everything else except for this landing page part beforehand. We'll see how we can get a template for these foreclosures and short sales. So then you can direct them to that. And then basically all you need to do is, and I believe we already have the templates of the postcards in the system for you to then just go on and create your whole entire funnel, your whole process of acquiring these leads, right? These contacts, these potential, you know, selling listing properties that you would have, and then going through that whole entire process, including a whole series of drip campaigns. So then that will help you. So when they fill out the form, you create that rule that will say, hey, once this comes in from this landing page, I want them to get this whole series of emails or texts or whatnot.
I think that jumbo postcard was 5.5 by 4.25 or 4.25 by 5.5. It looked like a half a sheet of paper, just so they know. And one thing,
Yeah.
because I believe that Carrie Little had jumped on the webinar,
Yeah.
that maybe do a foreclosure follow-up webinar where Carrie can, through the landing page, you could set up an automated item to deliver. It could be a list contingent upon those zip codes that a person can pull through, contingent upon the association therewith, that there are a lot of third-party tools where foreclosure data is available just for real estate professionals through your MLS. So maybe a class on how to find notice of defaults in your market, and she might go over a couple of tools for people. So I'm thinking there could be a follow-up webinar opportunity because it seems to be of a lot of interest.
Yeah. Definitely. And there's some questions on, the postcards and some other things. And Carrie, you've been called out here by Marki. So I'm gonna, there you are. There she is. So we'll work together on that part. But what I wanted to show is I wanted to share my screen here to show you what you can be doing. So when you go to your Wise Agent account, and I believe Sarah posted, I thought Sarah posted. So we are offering something special for you today that includes Marki's content. And then typically Wise Agent has a 14-day trial. Well, some of the content for Marki is not going to be available until the 21st due to both of our travel schedules. And now this landing page that we just talked about on the fly here. So that's not going to be available for 2 weeks for you guys. So we extended a 30-day trial for you. So you can get the first 2 weeks, get everything set up, because that's what my team does. They will help you create your, fill out your profile, get your email signature, get your contacts in. This is really important. You need to get your contacts in so you can set up your whole entire funnel. There's no purpose in starting a CRM and then just not having things set up when you need to have them set up. Okay. And then once you have that all set up, then you can click on this postcards tab. It'll open up here where now you can create postcards, and you can upload an image and, talk about what your area of expertise is. And it is, the 5.5 by 4 and 2.5 postcards. You have all these different options. Now you can set this up to have whatever option you want in here. So it doesn't have to say this just listed. It could be whichever one that you're, whatever it is that you're marketing to, right? And so you have that option from within here. You also have you'll have the drip campaigns available to you as well. So when you create the drip campaigns, there'll be the stock programs here. You're going to see, well, right now it says Rachel Green, but it will say from your account, it'll say Marki's campaigns in here. You'll be able to select those and then, choose one of the drip campaigns from in there. So you could, so you can go ahead and select whichever one is appropriate for you. Okay. Excellent. So all of these things are going to be in here for you. And I think that's a lot of it is getting the education, but then being able to articulate all of that stuff. That one class I read this weekend was 69 pages. 69 pages, folks. That was a lot of information. We're going to condense it down and give it to you in a bite-sized fashion for you to be able to kind of say what you need to say in a consistent and concise way. So there is a free trial, Mark. Yes, the free trial is for 30 days. So you'll have 30 days to try out Wise Agent. You'll get Marki's content. You'll get all of this stuff in there. It's $32 after that 30-day trial period. And I believe Sarah posted in here. It's just wiseagent.com/Marki is where you'll go and you'll sign up and get all of those things. If you're already with, there's a question coming in after.
We're giving them access even if they're already in the system, right? Yeah. So we're giving, you're already there, you're getting it.
Yeah.
Let me say this, because this is an extra tip, I think. Info Marki's class. I do have a designation program. Let me be clear. This is exclusive content just under Wise Agent. I have not made it up in my mind if I want to roll out the ADPR again. I did roll out the ADPR to the members of my private membership group, which is 6 figures in 12 months, markilemons.com. All the information is over there. So I did provide that to them. I'm just not 100% sure because I teach so much on social media and technology if I want to deviate my attention. But I do know that there's a need for the education, which is why I intentionally reached out to Wise Agent because they're our preferred customer relationship management system. I didn't want the education to go to waste. And so I was like, hey, you know what? I think this will be good for all realtors. Here's what we will do. So they're an additional 3-4 hour class, 3-4 hour classes, but that's beside the point. Get started here and I'll make up my mind on what I want to do. Because let me say this, y'all ain't getting ready to talk me into it. I just don't know if I got the time. This is what I'm going to say on that postcard. We often are using Bitly to shorten and customize our URLs behind our QR codes. Because what I want to know is if I mail 100 pieces, how many of those homeowners actually scan that direct mail piece? So anytime you're sending out a direct mail piece, I want to encourage you to use a tool like Bitly, unless you know how to go and get the analytics off of your website, so that you will know if a person scans it and being nosy versus how many people give you the information. And just on the education, the CDPE, my understanding is there's a new owner who will be providing that education. That was one of the bigger designations from back from the foreclosure market. You do have the SFR from the National Association of Realtors. I am a certified SFR instructor. I can promise you I'm not teaching the SFR. So maybe a Lynn Madison, there are numerous people who teach that. If I'm going to teach anything, it is going to be the ADPR. The ADPR is not a NAR course. However, I do have the digital lead generation professional that is a NAR course. So I have the only digital lead generation program in the entire realtor family, just so that you'll know. I'm just not, I'm not sure if I want to deviate my time yet. Yeah. We kind of there, but not there yet. They had a million questions.
They're going to talk you into it.
Look, they do not hunt me down in the hallways at the Realtor Conference and Expo telling me what I need to do. Do it.
Do it. I know. And I see, so there's gonna be a few people there at NAR later on this week. I'm like, where are we? Later on this week. I will be there as well as Marki. Marki's gonna come to our booth. Shoot, I did not
bring your questions to the booth. You got foreclosure short sale questions. I am going to direct everyone's attention to your booth. You can see me at the Wise Agent booth at the Realtor Conference and Expo. I'm going to be in your booth. We actually came up with our times, right?
I know.
We're going to do Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time. So that's before I speak at 1:30. I'm doing Canva, and then Carrie's doing a class, I think at 2:30, if I'm not mistaken. And then on Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, all of your foreclosures and short sale questions, you can bring them there. And I'm pretty sure there's a way for you to communicate with us inside of the Wise Agent system if you have any additional questions. Let me tell you what I'm not opposed to. We might partner and do the paid version of the ADPR together with Wise Agent, make it a nighttime series, maybe in the month of January or February. That could be something I could see us partnering on. It would be a live course where maybe we would make the recordings available. So that's what I'm committed to.
Okay. Yes. Awesome. And I wanted to be clear because someone brought it to my attention that they're going to be at NAR and they won't have time to set up Wise Agent while they're away this week. And I totally understand. And that's why I said, so anytime. So if you want to set up today, feel free to go to wiseagent.com/Marki. You can set up anytime that you sign up for Wise Agent from today through the 21st of November. So that will give you a whole week to come back from NAR where you could still sign up for Wise Agent. You'll get that 30-day trial. And then the drip campaigns, the learning, all of that stuff, that newly, thought of landing page template will also be in your account on the 21st. Because what I want really, I mean, the whole concept of this webinar was to give you guys education, to set you up for success. So I didn't want to come on here today and say, okay, you sign up today, you have 2 weeks, and that brings you to the 21st. And then, the content is released. So we're giving you an additional 2 weeks for free, right? So these next 2 weeks, you have to set up your Wise Agent account. So then when you are at NAR and you're meeting people, you can add them to your database, and because those are going to be good people for you to network with, right? And even do referrals and whatnot. So go ahead and please sign up for that, and you'll have until the 21st for that 30-day trial. Okay, so even if you are at NAR. As far as where do you subscribe? Okay.
So it depends on where you're located or as to where you're going to subscribe to find those lists. Some of us have MLSs that have foreclosure data inside. So I would say first check with your local MLS. You're already paying for it. What third-party tools are they pulling into your MLS? The next thing is check with your local county, because a lot of people come to the county every single day to pull this data, because a lot of counties do not provide third-party access fee to notice of defaults. There is physically, even this day, people who come in to pull those records to put them into foreclosure list in which they are selling, which is 2 places that you can start. Does Wise Agent provide the link to the NODs as well? Not currently, but I think that you all might have some third-party relationships with the notice of default list. I'm sorry, I'm speaking on their behalf.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what, Mark? Thank you for dropping that. Also, definitely 100% check with your title company rep. So let me say this: everybody is not in a state, is not located in a state where the title rep befriends the realtor. Some of us are in states that use an attorney in order to close our real estate deal. So go back to your favorite real estate attorney, ask them to get it from the title company. But if you're in a state where the title company, their agents reach directly out to you, then that would be the place, because the title companies definitely have some type of report that has that information. Because remember, if they have to provide clear and free title, that means that they cannot provide clear and free title if a notice of default has been filed, because they have to make sure that they're checking that information. So all title companies have foreclosure information in order to be able to provide clear and free title.
Yes. Yes, no, absolutely love that. And so there's a lot of tools. We do have some third party, some integrated partners like eLead Networks. They are one of them, where you can find them from our marketplace for you to sign up and get some of that data as well. They do give you, most of the time they give you, they always give you a physical address, a mailing address, as well as sometimes email and phone number, or one or the other, sometimes both. So, so yes, there's a lot of information in here. And we've been talking for the full hour here. If you guys want to continue in the conversation later on this week at NAR in Orlando, Marki and I will be at the Wise Agent booth. I think Sarah posted that. I don't know what our booth number is at all. So Sarah, if you can drop that in here, but that will be there. You guys can look it up on the NRA app. There it is. Our booth number is 1046 is the booth number. So we will be together on Friday and Saturday. Hopefully that you guys can stop by and see us if you're in Orlando. Marki, thanks so much for all the information. I just love and adore your style and your, and maybe it's a Chicago thing. Our connection is through the Chicago thing too. And I love that it's always informative and always making sure that agents are doing the right thing and realtors are doing the right thing, and keeping them accountable. So I appreciate you. And I think
Carrie asked a question: are we doing a reel at your booth? So yes, okay. We're going to do a reel at your booth. And yes. A lot of people want to know about the replay. The replay will be sent out, but this video is available right now inside of the Wise Agent Facebook group. And so you can go to the Wise Agent Facebook group, or you can wait for the replay to be sent to you for those who are juggling, doing a couple of things. And thank you, Donna.
Yes. And so we'll be at the booth on Friday at noon and Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So come by and I'm not sure we're doing a dancing reel.
We're gonna dance.
We're gonna dance.
We're gonna dance.
Okay. This time my ankle's not hurting, so I guess I'm gonna dance. So there you go. All right, Carrie, you're on, and Billy, if she's watching, hopefully she can join us too. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Marki. I know you're out and about today, so I will see you later on this week.
Yes, you will. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.